Tales from afar, stories to burn, dodgy old geezers and lessons to learn. From Arthur Daley, the scamps and the graft, they're spilling the beans and having a laugh. Mark, Annie and Pete, they're talking matter for you. Old school charm and a pint or two. So press play now, don't miss a treat. You'll love the stories, put it on the slate. Tales galore and so much more. So listen now with her indoors.
Hello there, I'm Pete.
I'm Andy.
And I'm Mark.
Hello, and welcome back to our podcast dedicated to all things Minder. Each week we rewatch, review, and rate a classic episode of this fabulous show. We've travelled back to 1979, when Gary was our leader, Jim fixed it for us, and Rolf wanted us to play with his didgeridoo. A more innocent time? You decide. So, what are we discussing today, Pete?
So today, Andy, we are discussing series 1, episode 6, Aces High and Sometimes Very Low.
So Aces High and Sometimes Very Low was written by Leon Griffiths and directed by Roy Ward Baker.
Joining George Cole and Dennis Waterman this week were, among others, Glyn Edwards as Dave and Anthony Valentine as Morris Michelson. So, Pete, what was going on in today's episode?
Going to add there, Andy, along with those brilliant guest stars, we also have every single working foreign actor in in
Yeah.
in the 1970s. One, not just in one episode, in one scene, you know.
And,
But there
and
must
to
have
be
been.
honest,
Go on, mate.
I was going to say, I couldn't spell their names or pronounce them, so that's why I cut them out.
Well, you know,
I'm very embarrassed to say.
no, it's fair. I mean, they must have been over the moon because generally they'll have all been going for the same one role, and then suddenly for them all to be together, it must have been like Christmas or maybe not Christmas. Anyway, so today,
And the only one who's not in it, the only one who's not in it is in next week's episode.
There you go.
So yeah, it was
Where were we?
it was a good year for the acting community. So in terms of where we are, we meet Morris Michelson. He's a professional.
Michael Nichols.
Morris Michelson, I apologise. He's a professional poker player, and after being mugged of his winnings after he leaves the casino, he decides he needs Terry to mind him at his next big game with some extremely shady Greek guys.
Definitely Greek.
Yes, not Turkish.
So-
Series. It's definitely series.
Okay, we're halfway through series 1, episode 6. Is this a good way to celebrate reaching the halfway point, Mark?
Yeah, this is an absolutely magnificent cracker of an episode. I love this one. If you're a fan of, well, I think in general, TV of this era did card games and things really well. Only Fools and Horses has a great episode with a poker game. Big Deal was obviously a big TV show in a couple of years' time after this, and
I think
then
we'll get to
later on. Okay, and then we're not doing a podcast on Big Deal as well, are we?
Yeah, well, why not?
Just 101 episodes of this to go first.
And then Casino Royale in the, we get to the later 90s and the movies, and they did it really well, and it does come across really, really positively in this episode.
You just, for
Okay.
me, you just blurred out at the end. Just your final thoughts there. Sorry, just after you mentioned
Yeah,
Casino
you blurred
Royale.
out for me.
Yeah. So Casino Royale. So I think, in general, being film do this really well. Minder is no exception. It's an absolutely cracking episode. One of my, don't want to give away the ratings too early, but one of my favourites from series 1, if not my favourite.
Pete?
Well, I think this is probably the first time we're in like unambiguous agreement, because I think this is a classic what Minder does best type of episode. And the fact that it's written by Leon Griffiths and takes us into the world of shady little Greek gambling clubs or private clubs, and yeah, the tension's high. I mean, we'll get into it, but there's a lot of action. There's a lot of card game action, more than would ever be allowed in any TV show now. It was just too much. It doesn't go on for too long. It's perfect. But these days it would be much briefer. It's certainly, Mark, you mentioned about various examples of when this has been done well. The tradition followed on in Lock, Stock, the original film, big card game scene in there as well. This does it better than anyone, I would suggest. Brilliant episode.
Well, I think it's shit. No, no. I always have to go last on this, and there's not much else I can say, is there really? You've said it all. It's great. I like it more every time I see it. Been doing some clips for the TikTok thing and cutting some clips out, and it's just there's so many you could use. It's brilliant. It's great to see Anthony Valentine given so much space as well to do his thing, because he's really, really good in it. So,
yeah, that's one of the weird things in it. I think is that while it's a brilliant, absolutely brilliant episode, and it does feel like there's not that much happens if you break it down into scenes, but there's a lot going on, and it's really well acted. All the scenes are allowed time to breathe, but Arthur and Terry aren't in it that much. It's very much an Anthony Valentine vehicle, this episode, and he is excellent in it. But when Arthur does appear, I think he's absolutely what Arthur Daley became well known for, and it's some of the best lines from series 1, which I think is why it's so strong, even though they're not the key characters in this episode.
I was going to say, like, every week I have a crazy theory, don't I?
I know what yours is going to be. I knew you had a conspiracy theory here.
Did you know? No, I was just going to say that one of my crazy theories this week is that this is the birth of Arthur Daley. This is where the legend starts, basically. We'll get into it when that scene is, but I think there's a 4-minute segment that I think is the birth of Arthur Daley.
As we come to love him.
Yes.
Any thoughts, Andy, on further to Mark's point there, that this is really an episode about Morris, and Arthur and Terry are essentially kind of just extra frills. That's with an F, not a TH. I thought you were going to say that you get the feeling that this was maybe a previous script or program idea that Leon Griffiths still had and was still playing with and morphed it into...
Okay, so what I was going to say was, my other crazy theory of the week was similar to that, but I was wondering whether we might as well get into it now, mightn't we? We're off and running. But was that there's a moment in it where Morris is telling Terry and Arthur that he saw something like 3 kebab houses change hands over one hand.
Yeah,
and they're in the Winchester, and the Winchester is his club, isn't it? Is Leon Griffiths' club.
Mm.
They're actually filmed in his club where he used to drink. That's what, and I reckon that's a story that he's been told.
Yeah,
that's my crazy theory.
No,
I reckon
that's
a story. Someone said to him, has told him that story, and he's thought that's a good idea, and has run with that. And he can't be Terry or Arthur being the card player in that situation, but I reckon that's a story. Someone's told him that story or this story, similar to where we had OK Laundrette, where he'd clearly written the story based on the spaghetti
incident,
house incident. Which I'm sure we mentioned in episode 1.
Yes,
we did. So I have a feeling that he's heard this story somewhere, and that's what.
Yeah.
So do you think
it could be?
Do you think there are a lot of Greeks in his drinking club at the time? Because next week's episode is very much based on the Greeks versus the Turks and the civil war over Cyprus. So suddenly we've got 2 episodes next to each other that focus on Greeks, and Turkish gets a mention in this episode as well. Yeah, sort of focusing on those sort of things. So maybe there was a lot of that talk going on in his local club.
I reckon you're probably right. I think me and you, Mark, have got a good friend who's been involved in Turkish gambling for...
This escalated quickly.
Yeah, it has.
Yeah, we have a lot of history with northern Cyprus and the occupied Turkish part, and the borders. We've been visiting for however long, and the border controls have certainly changed over the last 28 years.
But I think some of the sort of stories about the gambling between Greeks and Turks and stuff, and is it's not exaggerated in this episode. I think like the gambling thing was huge. It still is, and our friends made a lot of money because of it.
To get him on as a special guest.
Yeah,
You
I
won't
think
get a
this
word in
is-
if you do.
you definitely won't get a word in it.
Well, I'm used to that.
Yeah, sorry.
You know, I think I always kind of rooted in I wouldn't have watched this first half. So I'm really sorry to tell you this. I wasn't born when this episode was shown. But even if I had been, and even if I was of an age to kind of understand it and stuff like that, this thing of like Greek drinking dens and Greek gambling dens and a Greek community, I'm not saying it's solely specific to London only, but I think it is a very specific London thing, and it's probably specific to certain parts of London. And I just think that's where Minder and Leon Griffiths comes into his own. I think that's what he was trying to communicate with this little small sort of semi-criminal, fraternity. And yeah, it's I think the modern word is authenticity, in terms of it's dripping in realness. But anyway, we have veered a little bit, but
just one final thing on the Leon Griffiths thing. I read somewhere recently that someone gave him some advice and said about writing, and said that there's three things that are popular, and it's sex, crime, and real life. And he chose real life, so
yeah,
decided to write. But I mean, there's obviously crime and sex involved as well. But I think he basically was saying that to write what you know, kind of thing.
Yeah, and that era
Yeah.
was sort of the start of multicultural London, really. It was the start of it was probably in the 50s, but it was really becoming more prominent in the late 70s. And I was reading Ben Elton's autobiography earlier, or listening to it. I mean, I'm not mad. But they were talking about that the National Front was given a party political broadcast in 1979. So it was obviously there were tensions were high in the late 70s.
Yeah,
And
here
that's
we are in
very
2025.
reflected in Minder.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah, so it comes around again, doesn't it? It comes around again. But it's so it's being very culturally significant at the time, I think, and reflective of what was happening in London.
Yeah, no, definitely. I think it would have been. I think probably it would have been familiar to a lot of Londoners. Maybe not so much for the rest of the country, but probably.
Well,
I don't know.
That's the beauty. It's a kind of we're having a little peep through the. I was going to say glory hole. That's not the correct terminology. But a peek through the keyhole at this
Yeah, that's better.
this world, and they bring it to life so well. So anyway, chaps, shall we get back to this? Shall we get back to the plot?
Yeah, I mean, I think as you said earlier, I think it's quite a simple plot, isn't it? He's a gambler, he gets mugged, and he needs a minder, and that's to take to the games. And most of the plot is based around the two card games that he has, and it's fairly simple, but there's a lot of laughs and a lot to talk about along the way, I would say. So where do we begin?
Well, it starts off with him as playing a poker game in a club. And he's clearly a top player, can understand, reads the cards, counts the cards, but does it really properly. And then I think we should agree now, bear in mind the level of multiculturalism in this episode. We will not do any accents today.
Spoil all the fun.
But in the first scene, Morris is playing he's playing a game of poker against an Arab guy.
But one step further,
the guy
Mark,
is-
I would describe him as a comedy Arab.
Which is why I am tempted to do the accent, but I won't, because I don't think it'd be appropriate. And I'm not sure how good my Middle East accents are. But he's very much, he's like, "You don't believe my full house?" And Morris is like, I'm just playing the game. And then when he calls him out at the end and beats him and explains what hand he had before he'd shown it, he goes, "How you know?" And it's very much played. He's played as a comedy Arab, but clearly setting up Morris as a top quality poker player. And then as a result of the winnings he gets in that game, he gets barred. Or not officially barred, but please do not come back here and play poker, Morris. You can come here and play blackjack or something
then
else.
you'll
but do
have
not
the
take your
edge.
money.
Yeah, you'll have the edge and not me.
Do you get the I think it's played in a certain way where the person says, "You'll have to forgive my embarrassment, Mr. Michelson," and he starts to kind of raise his eyebrows because he knows what's coming. He knows he's getting
Yeah.
the elbow.
Yeah, because
So
he's
it's
both been barred
yeah.
from other places.
Yes, yeah. So that
Yeah.
instantly, just in that little exchange, or in those two little scenes, the whole backstory for Morris is kind of laid out. You know,
Yeah.
top player, he's just getting, as a matter of course, getting sort of barred from all the casinos because he's just too good. So the scene is
Yeah.
set.
Yes, it is.
And then we moved to him driving away in his very nice sports car, going to park his sports car and immediately getting mugged for his £11,000 that just won.
Yeah.
Gets a proper good duffing up.
Yeah, so we're going back, you mentioned Big Deal at the beginning. My recollection of Big Deal, I watched it, I haven't watched it since it was on, but used to watch it every week. But this is how every episode of Big Deal played out, wasn't it? He would spend the episode trying to get the money together, would win, and then get a whack on the head, and someone would steal it. That is my. It probably isn't true, but that was Big Deal for me. But that's go on. No, I was going to say there's the one little bit that when I watched it again, that it's a little bit weird where those blokes came from and how they knew he had all the money.
That's what I was going to ask Andy, because that's kind of that's unexplored, isn't it? Whether or not they are linked to the casino or to the club, but I think it's safe to say they probably are.
Yeah, that's the assumption, isn't it? Yeah, I think. But it's not touched
really
on. Well,
gratuitous pussy shot just here. So,
but peeking through the glove.
I've very much got the Blofeld thing going on now. The cat on me, like, oh no, he's moved it off.
Blofeld,
as you say, often likened to what's his name, Donald Pleasance.
Donald Pleasance.
Yeah, I've often been likened to him.
Dennis Nielsen.
No,
Donald Pleasance. My mistake.
And Dennis Nielsen, why not?
Yeah. We had our picture taken once with, what's his name? Mark Kermode. Mark Kermode. So a friend of ours posted it on Facebook, and on Mark Kermode's Facebook page or whatever, one of the comments was like, "Oh, he was out with Donald Pleasance." It's not how you see yourself, is it? But fair enough.
I once I posted a picture on Twitter. I think it was me and the main man, Asquith. Hey,
Asquith.
And somebody said, I mean, they were mugging him off as well, which was quite funny, but I didn't get involved in that. But then somebody was like, "Wow, Dane Bowers has let himself go." Talking about me. Cheeky bleeders.
You're listening to Minder on the Slate with Dane Bowers, Donald Pleasance, and...
Who are you, Mark?
And a very good looking
answers on a postcard. Put something in the comments.
George Clooney-esque guy in the middle.
Rosemary Clooney-esque.
Anyway, where were we?
So he gets a good pasting, and we see him sort of clambering out of the... Is it a Lotus Esprit?
Eclat.
Eclat, he calls it, isn't he?
So
eclat to us, eclat to him, but he's trying to sell it.
So Roger Moore had one of them in, Spy Who Loved Me or Moonraker?
I'm not sure he ever had a eclat. That was an Esprit.
No, he had a Lotus though.
Yeah,
he had a Lotus, didn't he?
Yeah.
It's a strange, it's slightly space age, the car. I don't think it's one of them where you go, "Oh, what a lovely, fine looking old car that is." I think you look at it and think, what a very striking but slightly weird looking car that is.
Yeah.
Especially as it's yellow.
I like it. Yeah, I like it. I think
no, it's not. It's
Michael,
not that.
So I think Michael Crawford might have had one in Condor Man.
Ooh.
They could have done.
It's something like it. If it's not, it's something like it, and it was yellow as well.
Yeah, it is something. Yeah.
Okay, right. So
Morris
has had a
so he gets
pasting.
mugged.
He clambers out the car.
He goes to the Winchester,
and obviously there we meet Terry and Arthur, and they're playing a game, but I'm not sure what card game it is. I'm familiar with poker,
neither was I.
I didn't know what they were playing. I don't know if it's like tic-tac-toe or something like that. I just don't know.
It was a card where you had to pick things up, wasn't it? Because he said, "You won't want that," and he said, "I might do."
Yeah.
And then, so they're putting... I'm not quite sure what it is. I'm not that big on cards.
Was it gin rummy?
Yeah, it could have been.
That's a bit of an old
Yeah.
school pub game, isn't it? Yeah, that sounds about right.
Yeah.
But they're playing for a penny a time, and
Yeah.
he
Penny
turn-
a point.
penny a point, and he turns up and says, all right, Arthur, all right, tell, and just, I know people will listen to this and think we're right fanboys, but there's just a little moment from Dennis Waterman, and he just goes, yeah, watch her, or something like that, and it's just so natural. It's just that's just him at his best. It's nothing groundbreaking or anything, but it's just believable. And ultimately, I suppose when we watch people acting, we want to believe it, and if we believe it, they're doing the job right.
Yeah.
So
It's a very natural interaction between the three of them,
Yes.
isn't it? And all through the episode as well. They obviously gelled really well together.
totally. So
Yes,
Mark, quick question for you. What does he ask Dave for?
Or is it something like a margarita, or he certainly asked for a cocktail? Is it a frozen margarita, maybe?
You had it sort of across those first two stabs. He asks for, do you do a
I do a gin and tonic cocktail. I do a Bacardi. Yeah. So
and then we get a little giggle from Mr. Waterman at that, and that's priceless as well. When
Yeah.
Dave's been just grumpy and curmudgeonly.
yeah. And he goes, there's a bit slightly before that, which I noticed there's some talk online suggesting that Arthur doesn't know Dave's
Well, I was going
name.
to ask you
Did
that. I was
pick
going to
up?
ask you that, Andy. Yeah, well, that's my interpretation. He says, "What's he called behind the bar?" In Arthur goes, and then Terry says, "Dave," and he goes, "Yeah, Dave." So
Yeah.
that's definitely my
It's
interpretation.
a little bit.
of it.
Yeah, it's a little bit weird. I've watched it a couple of times, and I'm not sure whether he can't see him because I think Morris is in his way, and I'm not sure whether he just looks over and then clears it with Terry that it is Dave. I don't know.
Yeah,
But
I think
it's-
that's more likely because he can't see him, and
Yeah,
Morris
'cause
just
he
goes,
kinda looks.
"Who's the bloke behind the bar?" And so he can't
Yeah.
see behind the bar, and then Terry goes, "Dave," and he goes, "Oh yeah, Dave." And because
Yeah.
later on in the episode, he does mention Dave as a close friend, so it would be that sort of
Yeah,
speculation around
yeah.
him not knowing who he is. I think it's purely where Morris is standing.
Yeah. I think I took it as when I watched it the second time was that he just couldn't really see him, so he was just clearing it that it was Dave because he didn't want to say
And he's very distracted.
Brian.
He's very distracted by the game. He's not
Yeah.
really paying much attention to Morris as well.
Yeah, exactly.
Certainly, my initial reading of it was that it's like an incongruous comparison, but in the pilot episode of The Sopranos, they talk about Stephen Van Zandt says to Tony Soprano, "Oh, what's that lad you went to school with who's got the restaurant, Artie?" Yeah,
Okay.
come the full series, they all know Artie and he's been around for years. So I thought it was just my take on it was just one of those slight little quirks whilst before things have fully bedded in. It doesn't make a huge difference.
Doesn't
But I think you made a good point. So yes, Morris fills them in on what's been happening, doesn't he?
Yeah, and he asks. He said he's been barred from the different places, and then he said he needs Arthur's help, and Arthur said, "Well, I do know some of these people." And he said, "Who do you know?" And it's really great because he's putting Arthur down, saying, "You're basically small time, aren't you?" Yeah, and I just need Terry. Like, who do you know? Which is great.
But there's a link, if you think
I love
about
that
it,
bit.
there's a link back to was it last week's episode where he's with
Yes,
Christopher
exactly.
Biggins, and it going to the casino and kind of loading it up at the casino is obviously a big thing for him. So it totally reinforces that this bit when he said, "Yeah, I know a few people in gambling clubs." It totally reinforces this notion that it's posturing and it's a load of bull. And like you say,
Yeah.
Morris calls him out on it straight. He's incredulous, isn't he?
Yeah. I wondered whether it was the same. Did they use the same club? I didn't get round to looking that up. The same casino.
Don't think it looked different. It may have been just a different angle, so it could have been, but I don't know.
I didn't look it up, so yeah. And so he says he needs Terry. He's got a big game with the Greeks, and it's going to be slightly iffy, that they're slightly dodgy
Rough
characters.
game, rough people, or something like that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
something like that. And he needs Terry's help.
Before you move
And
on
then
to that bit,
Terry's-
Andy, sorry,
Go on.
did you clock Terry's little bit of sarcasm when he's talking about the fact that he's no longer able to earn a living?
When he says, "Could you claim redundancy?" or something? Yeah.
And they have a little chuckle between them.
Yeah. Yeah, he does. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Arthur laughs, doesn't he? Yeah, he's very good.
And then we have, sorry, I might be jumping ahead in terms of what you were going to say earlier, but there's a very characteristic exchange about Morris asking Arthur about using Terry, and Terry saying, "Why don't you use me?" And Morris saying, "Well, it's business. Of course I'd ask Arthur." And then Arthur kind of saying, leave it to the grown-ups, Terry, you go and get the drinks. And that's
It's time you
very,
got a drink.
yeah, and that's very specific to the dynamic that follows in future episodes and series.
Yeah, it comes
Yeah,
back
but-
to the birth of Arthur Daley that you were talking about earlier, and that's sort of a little hint of it. I think the main bit you're referencing comes a little bit later, but yeah, there's a little hint there at the beginning.
Yeah, but it's also kind of weird that some of the previous episodes have been different, haven't they? And I guess it's the different writers, but like there's ones where Arthur's been happy to give Terry half the money or let him keep the money, and we've had instances of, but this does feel much more like what it should have been and what Liam Griffiths is imagined, I think. And I guess some of the other writers have had different ideas. I think we're on with the main man, aren't we? With
This is the vision. This is the vision. This is how we
vision. Yeah,
this is how we saw it.
definitely. Yeah. So they then go to now. How are we pronouncing the name of this club?
I didn't even write it down. It's in Camden.
Athenium?
That's what I'll say.
Athenium Club. I'm going to go with.
Yeah, Athenium. Yeah.
Well, that would make sense,
Athenium
wouldn't
Club?
it? Yeah, Athenium, yeah.
Yeah. So they go to this club and he gets to meet, as you say, every foreign actor in London.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
Well, you've got Stella behind the bar to begin with. So
Yeah.
Terry makes a nice little introduction, does a little bit of mild flirting. And
Mild?
and there's no well, there's no real love interest in this one, is there? It's just sort of Terry being just a gentleman with a bit of flirting and being mildly heroic, but it is nothing. I mean, I don't know what your latest flirting techniques are, Pete, and obviously very successful ones. But I think that for Terry, this is quite mild and ultimately unsuccessful.
Yes.
And a lot of them have been, haven't they? Last week he was unsuccessful.
Yeah.
But I think I was thinking about her part in this, and it's very much, I think it's for Terry's moral point of view, isn't it? Because they're wrong uns, Morris is a wrong un, and they're both kind of cheating. And the reason he's on Morris's side is because of her, I think, isn't it? Or that's what sets them apart. Do you think? If you know what I mean? Or do you not know what I
Fully
mean?
know what you mean. And I think it comes back to what we've said about just there. This is a Liam Griffiths episode where various stalls are set out in terms of the way the series goes. So we have the stuff we've had a bit of an insight into that dynamic with him essentially taking the piss out of Terry, basically. And then we get it later on when we see Mr. Daley in full flow. But then we also see that moral compass of Terry, that decency.
Yeah.
He's, as much as he, gets embroiled in various things, he has a conscience. He has, I think, sorry to get so deep, but he has an element of social conscience. And I think we see that here. And I think that's very deliberate
Yeah.
to kind of
And it's
open
actually
up the character of Terry to us.
Yeah, and it's actually mentioned at the end, isn't it? We won't jump ahead too far, but Morris says to Terry, "You've got a big heart, Tel."
Yeah.
At the end, doesn't he? And
Yeah,
get to
his
why,
moral
but-
compass doesn't extend to not trying to chat up the Greek bloke's bird. He draws a line on his moral compass there because obviously he doesn't feel she's being treated properly by a Greek boyfriend.
And he's winding him up because he's calling him Harry. Hello, Harry.
Yeah.
Which is good. Hello.
But this scene in the card game it is incredible, isn't it? I mean, there's a reasonable amount of tension, but the amount of sweat on the actors it's quite remarkable. And my main observation for this was the clothing. There are only two types of clothing you're allowed to have. You had to have a shirt and a tie done up right to the top, so you absolutely boiling, or you had a minimum of 4 buttons undone and essentially a shirt undone down to your waist.
Yeah.
And every single player around that table has either a complete shirt and tie fully done up or absolutely ripped open to the waist shirt. There's nothing in between.
I mean, do you have any? Because there is a scene where we see them outside and it looks sunny, and it's not like sometimes you watch stuff from the mid-70s, which was obviously, I think, was it 1975 or 1976 when there was like a blazing hot summer. But I do wonder if it was. I mean, Andy, any insights as to when they filmed it? I don't mean specific dates or anything, but
So I think it was around April, May time, I think.
so it's not impossible that it was pretty sweltering, because that's
It
a lot.
might have even been later. I think this was number 7 film, something like
Right.
that. 6 or 7. So it's episode 6, isn't it? But I think it might have been 7 film. I don't know. I'd
I've
have
got
to
the
confirm that.
filming dates were Monday the 3rd of July to Friday the 3rd of August.
Oh, so it was later. So it was summer, yeah.
So it was
Because
yeah, proper
otherwise, that's a lot
summertime.
of detail. That's a lot of effort gone into makeup and making them look so. And I just can't believe that they went to that much effort to make it look as hot and sweaty as it was. I think it must have been genuinely quite hot and sweaty in any case.
Yeah. But I
But
think
it is, it looks remarkable. Really is effective. Really good cinema.
I was going to say we should have mentioned the director, who's Roy Ward Baker. The last episode he directed, in the script we wrote that it was the legendary Roy Ward Baker, and then we never mentioned why. I mean, he worked. He's most famous. He directed A Night to Remember. You know, the
Yes.
film about the Titanic, which is, I think, was the first film about the Titanic, and where sort of a lot of the stories and the myths of the Titanic came from that film. And he directed Marilyn Monroe's first film, and he worked with Hitchcock, and basically had an amazing career. And then sort of came back to England to sort of work in TV in the 70s. But he's obviously a really good director, and that really shows in these card table scenes, doesn't it?
Yeah. And I wonder,
Because they're
sorry, mate, I wonder if there's
no.
a link between your theory about the birth of Arthur and obviously Leon Griffith's writing. But I also wonder if he kind of said, yeah, you know what? Because to an extent in previous episodes, there's been a slight, George Cole's been slightly restrained in terms of how he plays it. And I do wonder if, as the director, he said, just go for it. Trust all your instincts, trust all the things you've learned over the years. You just do with it what you want.
I think you're right. And I think what helped, we said earlier about the chemistry between the three of them is so good that I think that helped, and that the riffing of it just seems so natural, the later scenes between them.
And he
But
did
yeah, it's
13 episodes of Minder in total.
So is he the
And,
most
three
prolific?
in series 1. Oh, it's going to be close, but yeah, it's certainly
Yeah.
one of the main ones.
Yeah.
And so he did 3 in series 1. So I think he does maybe the last episode, but he did the one with Scotch Harry. So it's good quality. So
yeah,
far.
it's good. Yeah. Well, that's an interesting thing to look out for going forward, isn't it? Because it's something I've never really paid much attention to.
I feel some kind
I
of
know-
chart coming on, where it's like
Yeah.
directors, good episodes, bad episodes.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
I think when the spoiler alert, but when Morris he comes back in series 2, doesn't he? And he doesn't direct that episode, and from my memory, it's not as good as it.
No, I mean,
Well,
this is
we'll
like
find out in
We'll spoil
about
it.
8 weeks.
Yeah,
or-
it's.
8 years.
Do you reckon we'll get around to it that quick? Well, people don't know watching or listening to this. This has been going on for months. I had hair when we started.
But some of, and we'll get back to it, I know, and I'm going to quickly get a beer in a second, but some of the best episodes, I think some of the most impactful episodes where you go, wow, that was fantastic, or where they're almost like a mini little film or like a film within an episode. I think this is definitely, like you said at the beginning, Mark, the card scenes and the as you said, Andy, as giving them that time to breathe, and they do go on a long time, but with good reason, and the tense and and actually it's quite brave because there'll be a lot of, I mean, I play poker not particularly well, but even I was struggling to keep up with it. Leon Griffiths obviously knew poker very, very well, or knew people who knew it very, very well. And yeah, this was just
Slightly, sorry.
Go on, mate.
interrupt. Slightly, no, I was going to say slightly. I know there's cheating involved, but slightly unrealistic hands people were getting. I mean, I don't know.
I play every week. I'll never see any hands like that.
Yeah, it's like usually, hands are 1 on 2 pair in when we play, isn't it, Mark?
Yeah. not a royal flush against 4 10s or something like that. Is it?
Yeah.
So yeah, incredible.
Yeah.
A regular cry at my weekly poker game is fucking 4s again. You know what I mean? It's just shit. Right, I'm quickly getting a beer. I'll be 2 seconds. Talk amongst yourselves.
Okay.
Right, and then I'll get. I need a beer as well. So I'll get a beer when you come back. So where are we? So he loses. So he loses the first game here, and then he loses everything. So he's lost all his stake money, £6,000 down the drain. That's him done. He's not happy. Feels he's been cheated. Assumes they've been fiddling it, which they have. Spoiler alert. And and he's not happy, and he wants to get in a bit of a dust up. But Terry steps in, cool and calm, says, "No, 5-1. Let's hit the road." And he sort of pours calming waters, calming balm on the situation, and eases Morris out of there without any further ado, because they do look quite dangerous, and you wouldn't want to mess with them. Particularly, I think it's Chris, who would later appear in Indiana Jones and a lot of the other movies and TV shows of that time that needed someone from the Middle East.
Yeah, but he was like,
Vida St. Pat.
Mind your language. He was.
Yes.
I mean, he literally he looks like he just walked off the set of Mind Your Language.
He probably had.
I thought.
He probably had.
No, because I looked it up. Mind Your Language was on the Saturday, and this was on the Monday. So he was on TV twice that week.
He's very good. He's very good in Mind Your Language.
I tell you what, I think he's actually a really good actor. Because
agree.
you were saying the Indiana Jones. It was only when I sort of looked him up, I was like, oh God, yeah, that was him.
Yeah.
And so I think when you don't recognise someone who's that recognisable, I think they're obviously doing a good job, aren't they? And his name
was in The Professionals as well, and it would appear in everything around that time.
Kevork Malachi.
Yeah, he's still around, active on Twitter.
Spot
and he's
on,
still with
I can
us.
confirm that is 100% correct.
Yes, and he's I think he's a very good actor, and he's good in this.
Well, if you think
even
about
though he
it,
just
Andy, sorry to interrupt you, mate. And probably the first rule of podcasting is that you don't apologise for interrupting, because otherwise we'd do it all the time. In this, he's menacing, and he looks menacing. Like you say, that threat and danger of the situation is conveyed really well. Off Wiede's in pet, he runs, I think, a Turkish massage parlour, but he's violent and he's threatening. But in Mind Your Language, he's basically part of a comedy duo, essentially, and he's really good. So yeah, I totally agree with you. And it's I'm glad we get to see him sort of he's full range, shall we say? So But what's your take on Terry stepping in and calming things down? Again, coming back to this discussion we've had about what are we being told, or what are we being shown here about Terry McCann?
Well, I think that he's not going to get involved, is he? Because even Terry, looking round, realises that he's got no chance, or they've got no chance, because Morris is obviously not much of a fighter. I don't think he's a lover, not a fighter. I think, and Terry knows his limits. I think that was my understanding of it. Is that what you were thinking?
Yeah, I mean, I think I think it's just that extra. God, I sound like right pompous ass tonight, but that just extra kind of sort of layer. Yeah, very good layer to his character. He thinks things through. It was said to me years ago by somebody who'd been a bouncer that the best kinds of bouncers are the ones who can talk people down, and they can talk situations down, and it just reminded me of that sort of philosophy that Terry is a fighter. You said Morris is a lover, not a fighter. Well, Terry's a lover and a fighter, but he's a reluctant fighter. And I think that's, sorry, I'm going around the long way around, but I think that's what I'm getting at. He can do the violence or he can do the fighting because obviously he's a boxer and he's a minder. So, he can talk that language, but he only does so when needed, reluctantly. And I do think that, again, something that we are getting a little bit of an insight to here. Not to over-intellectualize the world of Minder. We wouldn't want to do that, would we?
No, God, no.
But you also think that he would have liked to have given Harry a little bit of a smack, wouldn't he? But he's thought about it, and he's, even at that stage, he's not convinced with Harry. I mean, it gets worse as the episode goes on.
I think the other thing you have to understand is that Terry at this stage doesn't know he's been cheated. He thinks he's just lost.
Yeah.
And he thinks, you're not going to have a fight for the reason because he's just, lost his money. He doesn't know he's been cheated. And he doesn't fully believe it till a bit later, does he? So
no. And ultimately, he's been paid to protect Morris, which he does. He does his job. Now, Morris might want
yes, that is a very good point. But he wouldn't have protected him by getting in a massive wreck.
Yeah, because there's no way there's no way. Sorry.
Have you been expecting us, Andy?
This will get us more views.
Yeah,
people love cats.
They do. So they escape the scene. We're doing wonderfully, chaps, in terms of getting through the. Sorry, and we're about 10 minutes in at this stage, by the way. 10 minutes into the episode, 10 minutes of the podcast to go. They flee the scene, and there's a strange little bit of reflection in the car, isn't there?
Yes, yeah, and you don't reflect until you get to the first red traffic light, isn't it?
Yeah, and there's classical music on. I mean, it's all a bit, it's a bit poncy.
Yeah, and then they go back to his flat, don't they? And he's saying about he wants to play chess with him, and it's a slightly weirder bit of it, isn't it? But he's saying his wife's left him and the kids have gone. And
is it me, or did you detect sort of homoerotic subtext?
How many beers have you had?
No, I am joking. I don't really think that it comes into play. But yeah, it's. I suppose it's a little scene to just let us know that it's all, again, it's a load of bollocks with Morris. He's on his uppers, isn't he? He's got the nice flat, but he's the wife and kids gone and stuff like that. Yeah,
it doesn't look like a place that would have a wife and kids in it, though. But fair enough.
He does play that sort of playboy character, though, doesn't he? He looks like he acts like that. So he's sort of a classic 70s playboy. Shirt unbuttoned to his waist. We don't appear to have a medallion in this episode, but you could imagine he would potentially have a medallion and his Lotus Eclat and his man about town.
Yeah, and then there's a scene with Terry and Arthur in the pub, isn't there? It's a kind of a strange little scene where he wants he want a ham sandwich, but he's got a cheese sandwich.
No,
or is it the other way around?
No, it's it. I wanted ham.
They only had cheese. That's it.
But that's very of its time, isn't it? Those very sort of limp, depressing-looking sandwiches that you would get served in a pub.
I love a sandwich like that. I think it made me really hungry watching that episode, watching that little bit.
There was
that cheese sandwich.
Yeah, it's like there's like the Coach and Horses in Soho used to have a little bell jar thing with sandwiches and just a thing over the top of it.
Yeah.
And they're a pound or whatever. This is, I don't know how many years ago. But yeah, you could get a sandwich for £1 or something.
Was this when you were hanging out with Jeffrey Bernard and people like that?
I think we went in there hoping to see I think were you with me? I can't remember. I'm pretty sure we went in the Coach and Horses hoping to see Tom Baker and whoever, but there was no one in there.
Nah.
No.
It does make you question whether a lot of that mythology, the fact that all these really famous people were in there all the time. I do wonder if it's I feel like I'm on a call with Jeffrey Bernard and Tom Baker listening to you, Mark.
Yeah, that was quite loud.
So, yes, Arthur's in a mood, isn't he? Because of the sandwich, but also he's not getting his payday from Morris because he's done in all his dough at the card game.
Yeah, because it was 300 quid, and Terry was 300. because Terry was only getting 60 or something. So then Terry goes back to the club to rearrange another game, doesn't he?
Yes.
And he sees that
He goes round to
what's the name?
apologise as well, doesn't he? Really, that's he's going in, goes in and apologises for Morris's behaviour, and sets up the game, but then
And
bumps into Stella, the barmaid, and she's got a bit of a black eye. And this again,
she has.
it just ratchets it up a notch for how much he
Yeah.
dislikes Harry.
Yeah, Harry's given her a whack. Did you recognise Stella?
Did, but Pete, you're probably more familiar with this.
So
Well, no, I mean, I've seen her in something this week. Well, not from this week.
she was in Star Trek: The Next Generation. Was
Really?
Yeah, big,
a big
really
part.
big
She was in it.
character. Yeah.
And she's been in it and she was in all the other Star Trek films.
Stuff.
So,
I had no
yes.
clue about that.
Yeah, so she moved to America at some point, I think in the mid-'80s,
Yeah.
and then got a part in that, and yeah,
What's her name?
So yeah,
Do you
very
know?
successful. I do.
Marina Sirtis.
You're doing well with
Goodness.
your pronunciations this week, and?
Is that right?
Oh yeah, that's good.
Okay.
I
But yeah, she was born in London, but moved. I would say she's not particularly good in this. Maybe that's just me, but
Yeah, I thought she was fine. I thought it's, but it's because it's quite strange because she's the only sort of female in it, really, isn't she? She's the only female in the episode, I think.
literally, I think.
I think she helps us to see like that these don't just appear to be a little bit rough and nasty. They are nasty bastards, you know.
Yeah, I think that's just highlighting the point. Giving Harry giving her a whack is just to make sure you know that they're wrong. And I think
Yeah.
But yeah, I think her acting is pretty good. I think she's fairly understated in it, which I think is right for the part. I think she comes across pretty well in it.
In fairness to her, she hasn't got loads to do, and I'm not making any
No.
kind of sort of post-feminist point about how, because we actually, and we'll get to it in later episodes, but there's some brilliant, not many, admittedly, but there's some brilliant female characters in Minder down the line, but she's probably not one of them. She hasn't really got a lot to do.
no, it's quite underwritten, her part, isn't it? Whether there was more to it and it was cut, or I don't know.
So have you got a conspiracy theory that she had a spin-off series written for her?
Yeah,
It
it was called Star Trek: The Next Generation.
fleeing
She went to
fleeing
space.
from the Greeks in space.
Yeah, yeah.
I've just finished watching Hazel on DVD.
Right, okay.
She turns up in an episode of that playing a Greek lady, and she works in a restaurant smashing plates and stuff like that. So she was obviously a little bit typecast at the time. So I'm glad she's gone from sort of Greeks to aliens, or a space traveller. She's broke free
she's done
from
very
the
well.
shackles of typecasting. Excellent.
Yeah, she's done well. Yeah, so we're back at the Winchester, where we get what we were saying earlier about the birth of Arthur Daley, I think.
Yeah.
And there's this scene where Morris needs a stake, so he decides to sell. He asks Arthur if he's got links in the motor trade, and decides to sell him his Lotus Eclat. And it's just a brilliant scene of where you get Arthur, just how we come to love him, and it's the first time this series I think you see Arthur as Arthur, isn't it? And he's got his book with all the prices of the cars in, and he's hiding it.
Yeah, let's have a look. No.
It's a wonderful scene, and it's just Arthur playing both sides when he's trying to buy something, and then it shows it when he's trying to sell the same thing. And when he gets argued the points back that he's used to buy it, he just manages to turn it round, and it is. Yeah, it's a wonderful piece of television. It really is.
Yeah, and because it then goes on to selling it to Dave, doesn't it? And Dave wants a 4-year-old Capri, and Arthur's trying to sell him a Lotus Eclat.
I mean, how would Dave get in and out of a Capri? I mean, they're the lowest cars in the world, and he's about 7 foot. It just doesn't make sense. But obviously, they were de rigueur at the time.
It's for his wife, though. His wife has
she wants a
demanded
caravan.
She does also want a caravan, which then Arthur switches and says, "I think I can help you out there." And it is, yeah, it's
Yeah.
just classic Arthur Daley. Yeah.
And what
so
does he
then-
say? What does he say about the caravan? Someone it wasn't used because he had something. I can't remember what it is.
that
Can you
might have been
remember
cut
what it
out
was?
of the
God.
ITV4 episode. I don't. Yeah.
Oh,
I don't-
okay.
The ITV4
Yeah.
one's got quite a few cuts, so I did watch it on YouTube as well to try and get yeah. But I've watched
Okay.
the
Oh,
ITV4
I can't
one.
remember. What...
Well, just imagine the most sort of outdated, offensive sort of racial stereotypical gag. Insert that, and it was probably that.
Yeah.
It wasn't that.
No, I
but-
don't think it was.
Yeah, it's called banter. Bloody hell, Andy.
We've had an hour's worth of banter already. We're only halfway through.
He's had enough, Andy. He's had enough. He wants an
Yeah.
early bath.
Right, final thoughts. Skip the rest of it. No.
But I mean, in reality, we've got kind of two final set pieces, haven't we? In terms of
Mm.
how the episode concludes.
Yeah, one of the very next bits though, before they go back to the club, which is one of the weirdest bits, when someone asks Terry for the time.
And that is
You
so
notice that?
strange. Yeah, it's so
It is
strange.
the weirdest thing.
Completely
missed
out of
that.
Pete's
place
looking
and
really-
unnecessary.
You missed that. Yeah. So Terry's standing at the side of the road. Bloke walks up and said, "Got the time, mate?" He goes like,
Yeah.
7:15 or whatever. And
It
then
is-
the
yeah,
taxi
it's so
pulls up and he
weird.
gets in.
And I think is it straight from the credits? So you've had and then part 3, and it cuts, and there's just a really strange looking bloke, and he goes, "Excuse me, mate, have you got the time?" And he's gone,
Yeah.
and it's just like totally unnecessary. No,
Is it too?
unless it was just a favour for someone. Can I be on screen this week?
There is a moment later on where Terry telling the time is
Yeah, it's
relevant to
nothing
the
to
plot.
do with that.
No,
No,
but I
it's-
would. Is it to just prove that his
Was it
watch
to prove he's
his
got a
watch
watch?
works? Yeah. But I mean, why would
Could
that be
be. I mean,
necessary?
it's
Do you know what
loose.
I mean?
I
don't know.
reckon
But
I'd have
no,
cut it
but
out
when he
if
know-
I was editing.
when he notices the time later, he sees it on the clock in the hospital.
Maybe
So
it's, maybe
it could
it's,
be to give you a sense of what time they're going to the game and how far it is until the 12 o'clock that he's got to get back to. I haven't actually mentioned that, have we? That he sells the car to Arthur on the condition that he can buy it back
before a
plus
certain
200
time.
quid
Yeah.
before midday the next day.
Yeah.
Yeah, anyway. So they go back to the club and the second game begins. Anyone?
Much
Whoever.
it's as per
It's pretty much the
the
same.
first. It's per-
And they sweat even more, don't they? I think.
Yeah, and they've still got the
Yeah.
full tie or absolutely open to the waist, no middle ground. And there's just a little bit more. This time Morris is prepared. He's come with his own cards, and there's a little bit more skullduggery on both sides. So it's slightly more overt, and there's a lot of meaningful looks while people think, "Am I being cheated here?" on both sides.
Yeah.
So it's
so
it's really good though.
Yeah, so he's trying to get some tells, isn't he? There's a thing with the cards where he's kind of stroking the pack and he thinks that's a signal. So he knows that he's got to be careful on that hand. And there's another one with some rosemary beads or something, isn't it? That he thinks that's the signal for who's going to be
Yeah.
getting the cards on that hand. So he's brought his own. And it's our friend from Mind Your Language that he goes into the final sort of big showdown with, isn't he?
I've got to do it. I've got to do it, Morris. I know we weren't going to do accents, but it's quite a kind of critical scene of that sort of. He delivers it really well because it's he's basically saying, "You asked me to do this, Morris." It's very okay. See the fireworks. It's very yeah. No, it's a good scene, it's a brilliant scene. I was going to say it's like straight out of The Hustler, but obviously The Hustler's pool. Classic black and white film about cards. Cool Hand Luke, is that cards?
That's the boiled egg scene, isn't it? What is the Robert Redford and
The
Paul
Sting.
Newman, the Sting, yeah.
But that's the horse racing thing, though, isn't it?
Is it?
Mainly.
Oh, it's been a long time since I've seen it.
Anyway, we digress again.
As is our
So
one.
yes, it is. So yeah, there's the big showdown, and Morris somehow he's got a 5, isn't he? Which he somehow managed to swap for an ace, so he gets a royal flush and beats Chris, and they're all a bit confused, aren't they? and they pay him his 17 grand.
17.
So he's won 12. He's taken, and Terry orders a brandy to celebrate, doesn't he?
Yep.
And then rivalry sort of, the other thing is, which is slightly weird, but it works for the plot, isn't it? The taxi scene. They get a taxi there. Why doesn't Terry drive in his car? So they've got a car waiting when they leave.
Well, I think you
He's
know the
sitting there
answer.
drinking all night, isn't he?
Well, that didn't matter in the sense.
Yeah, if you were too drunk to walk, you drove. So
Yeah. But yeah, I guess
it's just to set up the next scene, Andy. I think.
Yeah. I know.
I know you know that. It's but you're right. It's a plot hole.
Yeah.
When Terry's driving about all the time.
So they get into a taxi and the man's like, no English, and they drive off, and they quickly sense that there's something up, don't they?
Within about 2 seconds of driving off, they're like, hold on.
They might as well have just graded them in the club. There was no point letting them get in the... Yeah.
Well, there is all... But I guess there are other punters there, and they probably got... I don't know if... Because we haven't mentioned, but there's one guy that he said there's a terrible card player. Is it Nick? Was it Nick? There was one that he took a lot of money off anyway, who I don't think was in on the scam. Did you not get that?
Yeah, and he's in a James Bond film where he's playing cards. Swear.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Maybe he was a card player, but he said he's a bad player. So they probably didn't do it in the club because there's other people there that they don't want to upset because they want to take other people's money next week, I guess, don't they? So you don't want that reputation. So they drive off, don't they, in a Mark III Cortina. They realise something's up, and Terry decides to sort of throttle the cab driver, and he calls him, what does he call him? Zorba, doesn't he? He says, Zorba. You're like, I'm going to throttle you or whatever, and he's got him round the neck. And there's a quite poor kind of car thing where there's loads of oil drums set out, but they managed to not hit any of the oil drums, but then they hit a line of parking meters.
Yeah, I think it's a great.
But no other cars
parked
there.
Yeah,
it is quite funny, but it's a bit.
I think this is very early in the morning, isn't it? Because they've gone in when it's dark. They've gone in overnight. They've left early morning. Terry's effectively ordered a brandy at maybe 6:30, 7 o'clock in the morning, which is, he's working technically, which is acceptable in the 70s. And then he's in this bit, and they've wiped out this row of parking meters, which I think when I first saw it, I thought, that's a bit. I'm not sure I like it. It's a bit tacky. I've seen it another couple of times now. I really look forward to that scene. I love it now. And I think just watching the parking meters go one after the other. I think that was, that's Roy Ward Baker going, we're going to really throw something at this. We get quite cinematic now.
And then it hits the shed with the man sitting in it with a cup of tea, which is a bit Charlie Chaplin or...
Yeah, again, that's probably the director, isn't it? Just nice little touches like that. Any reflections on when they crash? I mean, from my perspective, it looks like the driver's quite seriously hurt / possibly dead. he's just like that.
Well, and Morris is in a terrible state as well, but Terry seems absolutely fine. Which
he was holding on to the driver's neck, wasn't he? So
so he was protected.
He was holding on, so.
And it is
so
really
Morris
good.
has done his foot and his ribs, hasn't he?
Yeah. And they do mention later on that the driver is absolutely fine and that they haven't reported him. So for any misdemeanors, it was just a bit of he said something runs out in front of them or something like that. So again, Terry with his moral compass is doing the right thing because he didn't think it was the taxi driver's fault, even though he's there to stitch him up.
Yeah, and then Harry arrives with who does he arrive with? Which one is it?
I'm not sure. I think it might be some we haven't seen.
I'm not sure.
Maybe just sort of a
don't say
heavy.
It. Don't say they all
look.
They all look. No, they don't. They're all individual actors in their own right. Not interchangeable
Which is
at all.
why it wasn't one of the ones sitting round the table, because it definitely wasn't one. So there's a different
Yeah.
actor that we maybe hadn't seen before.
I think it's a stunt man, isn't it? Who's got the part. And so the punch up, how we rate in the punch up?
What, so is it Caesar's Palace or Caesar's Salad? It's not
It's
quite for
certainly
me.
more
It's,
Caesar's Palace than last week.
yeah.
I think a few of the punches are like, they look like they land and the sound effects are quite good. And I think it actually is a pretty good punch up.
Let's go with Caesar's
I think
Palace.
Caesar's Palace.
Yeah, I think so.
And there is not a lettuce or a cabbage
Yeah.
or laundry powder inside.
Cool.
So yeah, good.
No.
Oh, did I break up then? I
Our,
think I might have dropped out.
no.
We heard it. You said about cabbage and laundry powder.
Yeah,
No
yeah,
cabbage
that's
or
it, yeah.
laundry powder.
I feel
Or
like
no
we've been
sign of
on
a knife that he carries, though. Was there?
Ari. Yeah, no, he didn't have a knife. Well,
Oh,
he,
she said he always carries
yeah,
a
we
knife.
did. He doesn't get one out, but he's he's a bad dude. He's memorably in the first Sweeney film, and he's a member of a dodgy little unit called Johnson and Johnson, who they basically assassinate people. But he, in
Don't they
particular,
make baby powder?
well, I think there's an irony. He
Okay.
in the film, he clearly takes pleasure in his work. Very, very, very sinister. But he doesn't. You never hear him. But in this, he's got a very deep sort of accent. It's mainly a London accent, isn't it? But obviously, he's meant to be Greek as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, good little punch. Definitely better than last week's punch up for sure.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, definitely. And yeah, a credit to Roy Ward Baker, I guess, on that as well, on that front.
I wonder why he didn't do any Sweeneys, because they brought him in for Minder with full throttle. But I don't know why he never did any, because he had the credentials to do crime stuff as well. Just maybe he just wasn't around. I don't know.
I mean,
'cause he
'cause I think
he switched from film, didn't he? Switched from film to TV in the 70s.
and maybe it was just later, because he did a
The
lot of
timing
sort of
thing.
horror films in the 70s, and maybe he just timing thing. And then finally, well, not finally, but we're at the hospital with Morris in bed. He would still be an A&E if if it was nowadays, wouldn't it? But he's already tucked up and he's got his own bed and he's well happy. And then they suddenly remember. He says, "Come back." Well, Terry said, "I'll come back with some grapes," doesn't he? And he said, "I'll bring Arthur." And then they remember about the car.
Before that, Andy Morris.
I knew I'd forgotten something.
Yeah, when he mischievously, gleefully sort of fills Terry in on how he pulled it all off, much to Terry's incredulity, shall we say, the fact that he was carrying
Yes.
pocket aces.
Yeah. Well, Terry found the aces in the car, didn't he? When
Yes.
Yeah.
when they had the crash. Yeah. And then he explained how he did it. And Terry, he said, "Do you understand?" And Terry's like, "No." And to be fair, I wasn't either. But then he kind of explained how he did it, didn't he?
And he says, "I only
Yeah.
used them 5 times. I didn't want to be greedy."
5 times?
So there's
Yeah,
obviously there's a
so-
bit of business with Arthur, isn't there?
Yeah. So they rush off to the car lot, and can't think of the guy's name, the actor's name. It was in Emmerdale. He's put in the
Jack Sugden.
something like that. Yeah.
That was his
It's
character's
Yeah,
name.
it's Jack.
sorry.
Clive. I've got it. I've written it down. Clive
Yeah, Hornsby.
Hornby.
Yeah.
Yeah. I can't read my own writing, but yeah, Clive Hornby.
Yeah, he's in. Yeah, and he's in next week's one as well, isn't he?
Curious bit of casting that. I don't quite get it, but we'll talk about that next week.
Okay. Yeah, and he's put in. Was it 8,000 or something on the 8,750, and he's like, "Oh, you put the 8 and the 5 around the wrong way."
and he's trying to block his view of the price he's got.
And then so he settles up, and Arthur's not having it at first, but then he seems to relent, doesn't he? And takes the money, doesn't he? Terry and Arthur have a bit of a bust up, but then when Morris comes over, he gives him the money, and he seems happy with that until he finds out that Morris has already paid Terry for last night's work, hasn't he?
Yeah, he's
And he
paid
says,
him
"Well, you'll
directly.
get your yeah." And he says, "Well, don't worry, you'll get your share." And then he says, "How much did he give you for last night?"
Yeah, he does that
He gives
weird
you
thing,
like that
doesn't he,
look.
where he looks up.
Yeah, him. Yeah.
Sorry, I'm a little bit distracted because I can see my little girl on the intercom. She's either changing position or she's gone back to sleep. Did you notice earlier? So that bit where Dennis does that sort of comedy, like who me routine sort of thing, looking up to the sky. Did you notice earlier when Arthur, Terry, and Morris when Arthur's giving the car the once over? Did you notice that there was definite similarities, too many for it to be a coincidence, with the opening credits?
Yes, I know what you mean. There is that. Yeah.
So there's like where Arthur and Terry are looking this way at us, and you've got Maury's back to us, just like how it happens in the credits. And then the three of them walk round to the sort of length of the car, and the camera goes on them sort of dead on. It's not identical, but it's near. It's getting close to almost identical in terms of the opening credits. And I just wonder if that was just. I mean, obviously the opening credits weren't. Who know? I don't know. I feel a conspiracy theory coming on, Andy, because you said they were filmed. Were they filmed last week?
Well, my theory was because Terry was wearing. It was the very first episode, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Last week, the very first episode to be filmed, and Terry was wearing the same clothes
Yeah.
in that episode as he was. So I wondered whether they were
And it
filmed
was
at
the
the
same
same
car.
time or just slightly.
Yeah.
It was the same car. Yeah, which didn't appear in this one. I think it's one of the only times that car did appear in
think I
the
think I
series.
read somewhere that the actual opening credits were filmed about 3 weeks before filming started. I don't know how accurate that is, but I've read it somewhere.
That doesn't. That the weird thing with all this, I think there's a mix up potentially between when the photos are taken, like like the still photos, and when the filming is taken. And George Cole says in his book that 3 weeks after getting the part or something, they were filming. He said they were filming the opening sequence or something. But I think it's more the photos they were doing. But I don't know. Someone will know. Let us know if you know definitely. I think it's one of those things that's just been lost in time when they were actually done. But
There's
maybe someone does.
definitely
really know.
people out there with schedules. There's a lad called Guy. You might have met him. Comes to some of the events where you go to, and he's got filming schedules. Like those sort of almost like Gantt charts, where there's loads of them kicking about. So the truth
Well,
will
maybe
be
if
out
we
there.
do a special, maybe he would come on and do it.
Yeah,
and
no,
talk to
I'm
us.
sure definitely. I'm
Sorry,
sure
Cat
it's not just us who care about such important details.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, it just whether that was that opening, that scene just had a sense of the opening credits. So
Yeah, I'd go back and watch that again. Well, I think
Yeah.
it's one of the ones I've put on our TikTok thing, isn't it?
well,
Have I done that one?
whilst you mentioned that, Andy, is it worth doing a little plug of all our various social media platforms?
I think it probably is. We're on the Slate on Twitter. I think it's on the Slate on Twitter. I'm not sure about Facebook. Minder on the Slate Pod on TikTok and Instagram, as far as I know. TikTok's a good one because I post clips of all these episodes. So if you just want to see some of the scenes we're talking about, that's a good place to go to because they're like 1 or 2 minute clips. So that's worth doing. Yeah, and I think it's Minder on the Slate Pod on Instagram as well. But we'll put
Anyone
a link
has
somewhere.
any comments and stuff like that, they can get in touch with us, can't they?
Only if they're nice.
Speaking of
If they're
which,
horrible, then do one.
do one. Which we've done a little. We've had a few fan interactions, haven't we, about theme tunes? Mark,
Yes,
On the
Yes.
Twitter.
yes. So Mark, this was
on
your
the
idea.
Twitter.
Tell us more.
Well, we had a question come in from Tom in Luton, and it is
Tom?
good old Tom.
How is
And it's
Tom?
I think he's seen better days, but
Oh,
obviously his question is obviously the best TV theme tune of all time is Minder. I think we can all agree with that.
yeah, we
But
all agree on that one.
what are your other favourites that you would throw in the mix to be the great TV theme tunes?
Like, Whatever Happened to the Like Lads
Yeah, without question.
would be one of mine.
Definite down with you there, and
Pete?
and the from the film, the theme tune from the film of that as well.
Yes, we've talked about this before, haven't we? We've gone over lyrics on this one,
Yes.
the film one.
Ye-
I'm gonna go off. I'm gonna go off piste. And there was a program in 2011, so I know it's not particularly our thing, called The Shadow Line, and that's got a really, it's not
Oh, I
catchy.
don't-
It's not like this. Yeah, no, you're uncomfortable. I can see that.
I'm not familiar with that.
It
I'm
was a
not
great
either.
series, but it was a great series, but the theme tune was fabulous. It's up there, but it's a bit overlooked. It's a bit forgotten, the series, and it shouldn't be.
If we're going more modern ones, "Cradle to the Grave" by Squeeze on
Yeah.
the Danny Baker biography show, that was great theme tune.
Yeah, okay,
And
that's
probably
right.
Squeeze's best song of the last 20 years.
Yeah, probably. I mean, there's loads. I mean, sort of all the Mike Post American ones are great, aren't they? Magnum was always a favourite of mine. We had once we all dressed up as Magnum, didn't we? And
That was just called the
Fantastic,
80s.
yeah.
Everyone had mustaches, you know.
yeah. I struggled with the hair even in the 80s.
I'm
But yeah,
gonna throw out their Prospects, which was a Minder-esque program in the mid to late 80s for Channel 4. It was their version of Minder, really, and fantastic show. And the theme tune is incredible. And a bit like Minder, I would just tune in just to hear the theme tune. Obviously, you watch the program as well because it's brilliant, but you didn't want to miss the start and the end credits because it was so good.
do you want some of the answers on Twitter?
Happy
What
to do
other
it.
people have come back.
I'm happy to do that.
I've got some as well.
Yeah.
I'm going to
go
throw
on
in
then.
So-
before we do that. I'm going to throw in Orvida St. Pat, obviously.
Yes, so
Yes.
someone else has done that.
Well, so
Okay, because someone with good taste.
oh, we've got lots of people with good taste here. So we've got at Books One, who says the opening and closing of Only Fools and Horses. We've got Gary who says
Yeah, it's
Doctor.
got two.
Yeah, exactly. I mean
So,
that was
yeah.
bold. Gary who says Doctor Who, and then are you including American shows Hawaii Five-O, Magnum P.I. Dallas? Probably not,
Yeah.
but you know, it's
Whereas
all
after Tom in
I'm
Shall we
going
get
to
him on the
throw
show?
in
the line.
next week. He'll be special guest next week. If we're going to put America, I'm putting Cheers and the Fall Guy in.
Oh,
yeah.
someone else has said Cheers, and someone else has
Carl
also said
Drake has gone with the Sweeney.
yeah, and then Carl
Yeah,
also goes
classic.
with I think it's the Dave Allen Show. Very funky.
Someone's gone with Terry and June.
It might be tongue in cheek.
I saw it
Is
on-
my suspicion.
I saw a clip of Ahmed and June on TikTok last week.
So
The
did I.
Yes.
Smith and Jones sketch is one of the funniest comedy sketches you'll ever see.
Chris got a vote for the Persuaders as well. John Barry's the Persuaders from Chris Allen.
Yeah. No Van der Valk.
Hang on, Pete's getting up. I think we've got an issue.
He's gone off to play the Persuaders, I think.
Rockford Files.
Yeah, classic.
Did we mention the Rockford Files?
Hadn't done yet,
Yeah.
but yeah, that's an absolute winner.
I've
Dukes of
got a
Hazzard.
question for you. Yeah, there's a question for you. What famous, very famous 70s, well, I'll narrow it down, sitcom doesn't have a theme tune?
Very famous 70s sitcom doesn't have
All
a
right,
theme
maybe
tune.
the opening theme tune anyway. Can you think what it is? People are shouting at their screens and their phones because they know.
I can't get Reggie. I know Reggie Perrin has a theme tune that dun, 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 and
Yeah,
I can't get that out of my head to be able to think of anything else now. Go on, Anne. What is it?
Porridge.
But then I love the theme tune to the Porridge movie at the end, sung by Joe Brown.
Yeah,
It's one of my favourites as well.
Forgot about that.
yeah, it's great.
Who sang
Yeah.
Rising Damp?
Rising,
Again,
rising,
it is-
rising.
That's the best thing about that film, to be fair.
I love everything about Rising Dam. I still love the movie, even though it's just repeating the TV show essentially. But there's
And that
something quite
was
grimy about the
unusual.
movie which I like.
Yeah, that was an unusual thing where they recycled scripts for the film. Obviously, did for the radio shows and stuff like that. So,
But yeah, something grimy about that movie which is it's more cinematic, but it is slightly, I don't know, grimy. And some bird gets her threatening bits out as well, which is, again, it's not very
Disgusting.
rising damp.
It's the film 10
Right.
Millington Place could have been. Right, come on, Andy, let's wind things up. We've got to conclude business,
done-
haven't we?
We've done any other business. We've done listeners' questions. We need to do votes out of 10, and we need to decide whether any of our special guests get in the
This is
special
the bit
guest
I look
Hall of
forward
Fame.
to.
Anthony Valentine as Maurice Michelson. Does he get into the Hall of Fame?
Yes, in my I vote
100%
yes.
100% yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
3 votes, definitely.
You're in.
One of the
That's it.
best special guests they ever had. Is brilliant
Yeah.
in this and absolutely top draw. Brilliant performance. Absolutely in 100%.
I would
Yeah,
say
great
That wasn't
character, dominates the episode. Really, really impressive. Now, interesting about, do you
Carries
know
it, doesn't
who?
he?
Yeah. Do you know who he was married to?
no.
Shirley Valentine.
He was married to Susan Skipper, who was Nigel Haver's wife in Don't Wait Up, written by George Layton, friend of the podcast, and on your shirt tonight, Pete. And
Was she
her
also
other claim
Jan
to
out
fame?
of EastEnders?
Don't think so. I don't think so.
She might have been.
Dirty Dens.
Someone Google it quickly, but no, I don't think so. But her other real claim to fame was she was the first female voice of the sat-nav in the UK. This is the sort of information you come to this podcast for.
Yeah.
So what was her name, Mark?
Susan Skipper.
Susan Skipper.
There was the woman I'm talking about, Jane Howe, and she was Jan in EastEnders, Dirty Dens, sort of bit of stuff for quite a long time. But she was also
Yeah.
in, I think she might have been his ex-wife in Don't Wait Up,
Right.
It says on her IMDb that she was only in 1 episode.
which is full of shit.
Madeline Latimer, though, 1 episode.
So she
She
was.
was also in, she was also in Raffles, which was Anthony Valentine. So that's probably where they met, I guess.
So, quick question on the character of Morris. I think he's one of the, we get carried away in the moment, we get excited and we say this, that and the other. But I think he is genuinely, if I had to boil it down to one character who could have had their own spin-off show set in and around the sort of, what's the phrase they use in sort of Marvel?
Minder Universe.
Minder Universe. I think it's Morris without question.
So going back, we said at the very beginning about Big Deal.
Yeah.
It was a schlubby, but it could have been Anthony Valentine when they went with the kind of, but it was the same thing, wasn't it?
Yeah. I think
He
he's
was a
too
car
good looking
player.
to be Robbie Boxed in Big Deal, though, isn't
Yeah,
he? Robbie
yeah, but that's
Boxed
what I
is
mean.
sort of,
So they went with, but
yeah.
When this went out, was it Jeff McQueen wrote Big Deal, didn't
Yeah,
he?
he
You can
did,
imagine
yeah.
he's looking at it. He's looking at it, think he may have been like, "That's a good idea," but I don't know.
No, I think you're right, and I think they were probably two writers from quite a few of these writers were from that came in via Sweeney, Minder, those early shows that you've talked about, who were either from, at very least, quite humble backgrounds, if not the wrong side of the tracks. So obviously,
Well, you got Tony Hoare coming
100%, yeah.
right in.
So, and I think Jeff McQueen's cut from that cloth. He was from.
Yeah,
He was born in Dalston, London. And that's like, is that Hackney way?
Yeah,
it would have been.
Shoreditch, Hackney. It's Islington. It's very, very gentrified now. It's really
Yeah,
posh.
but it wouldn't have been there.
Certainly not. No, it was horrendous. It was horrendous then, as was Islington. London has changed a huge amount.
That reminds me, Mark, when are you taking me up the Camden Passage?
But whenever you're available, I'm always ready.
Born ready. Right. So, yes.
Before
he's in the Hall of Fame.
Before this turns into your other podcast, let's marks out of 10.
You go first, Andy.
Marks out of 10.
You go first.
Yeah, you
I'm
go
gonna
first.
go 9.
Marty, Mark?
Yeah, a 9.
Yeah.
There you go.
It's got to be top score.
That's a strong
I would have
strong
thought so.
27.
Yeah. If it's not, then it should be, because I think it's the best episode so far, in my opinion.
But we've
On a
still got the
number of
Sheila
levels,
White
I'd
episode
agree.
to come in series 1.
There you go. Well, that'll have to wait for another day, won't it?
Well,
So, as usual, that's what we think. What do you think? Let us know. Unless you want to be horrible, then clear off. But be nice. Leave us a comment and like below. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter, on The Slate. We're on Facebook. We regularly post clips on TikTok and Instagram as Mind Us on The Slate Pod. We will see you all next time. Goodbye.
Thank you very much. See you
Ta-ra.
later.
Bye. See you, Mark. Bye.